This video is going to cover a lot of things, but before I get into it, I want to make a couple things really clear. Firstly, I love Overwatch. It is hands down the most I've played a single game in my entire life. I think it's addictively challenging, beautiful, unique in so many ways, and all in all, a super fun game. Or at least, it used to be. Because these days, that sense of excitement of playing the game, for me at least, is gone. It doesn't feel rewarding anymore, it doesn't feel skillful anymore, and it doesn't feel like Overwatch anymore. And I know I'm not alone in feeling this way, but this isn't a Blizzard bashing video. This isn't going to be me saying how Overwatch is a dead game or how trash everything is. No, I love this game. So let's see if we can come up with a few ways to save it. Hello guys, my name is SVB and I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to be explaining exactly why I think, in my humble opinion, the implementation of 222, aka role lock, has severely damaged the state of Overwatch. But more importantly, I'm also going to be suggesting changes that I'd like to see that I think would actually remedy these issues and make Overwatch feel like a fun, exciting, thoughtful game again. So let me start by explaining why I think the game is so much less fun at the moment. And although 222 has been the catalyst, it is not role lock itself that is the problem. Implementing 222 for Overwatch is generally a good idea. It's just been crowbarred in clumsily. The mistake Blizzard made was to think you could just add such a fundamental change to the game without changing everything around it too, to accommodate for that change. The first and most obvious impact it's had is on the meta. Now on the positive side, it's great that we never have to worry about getting into a game and seeing that insta 5 DPS lock that made us all question why we even play the game. But enforcing a 222 is pointless if the outcome is even less fun than having a DPS fiesta. Right now, it's impossible to get into a game in any of the ranks I played in without basically being forced into Arisa Sigma. Why? Because right now, any other tank line is just pointless, and playing double shield, spamming the other team's shield while you wait for one of your Reaper or Doomfist to get a kill is just incredibly boring. It's not skillful, it's not nuanced, and it's certainly not what Overwatch is about. The only people this is fun for is the two DPS players, which explains at least in part why the DPS queues are consistently at least 3 or 4 times higher than that of the other roles. Of course, this was always a problem because Overwatch has as many DPS heroes as the other two roles combined. So it's only obvious that there'd be so many more DPS players, especially when the quote-unquote carry role is always popular in any game. But now with 222, all that's happened is that the DPS players now have to wait incredibly long to find a game, while other players have short waits for games where they're inevitably just furniture. One of the greatest things about Overwatch was that every member of the team felt impactful. Whether you were a support or tank, your job in the team felt really important, and in fact essential to the success of your team. Now, most games I play, I just feel helpless if I'm not playing DPS. Queued up for tank? Great. Play Orisa. Keep dropping your shields and hope your team does something. Oh, they're not? Well, tough shit. If you switch to Ryan, you're dead, and or your team will flame you till you switch back. And gone are the days where I could advise people who come to me for help to switch their compositions up fundamentally. Oh, they're doing that? Okay, well go solo tank, 3 DPS, go triple tank, triple support. Yes, free select was a mess, but what it also allowed was for nuance and strategy. That has now gone from the game largely. As I feared, 222 has just created a set of 6 heroes that are hands down the best, and playing anything else is borderline stupid. There is no counter to them except to mirror it. Some of you watching might say, well, GOATS was the same. And yes, at the pro level this was true, but at least GOATS required a really high level of coordination, which is why you almost never saw it on ladder. And even if you did, you could switch to a DPS heavy comp and try to chaos your way to a win. Yes, removing the hero pick freedom made the game more controlled and rigid, but that works both ways. You've now lost a deep amount of flexibility in how you can counter something. If a comp is overly strong in one way, e.g. it has too many shields, you could counterpick with a comp that is overly strong in doing the opposite. So for example, flanking DPS who don't care about shields. Right now, you're forced to have 2 tanks, and all the tanks except for Orisa and Sigma are basically squishy liabilities. And even those two, their jobs are just to live. It isn't really about making plays or space, as much as just putting your shield down and not dying. Now this is obviously the case right now, but in the future, this might happen to a different role. In the future, supports might become underpowered, and it might become a liability to have supports, in which case, perhaps the highest DPS doing supports will be the only viable ones, and every other one is a liability. And if that comp becomes really strong, you again have to come up with an answer using only the narrow framework of 222. Blizzard has essentially forced itself to make sure that not only are each of the roles balanced inside themselves, with all the characters being at a comparable level, but also between the roles too, because if shielding is too strong, it basically makes other styles of healers and DPS completely useless, which is what we're seeing right now. Now, I promised solutions at the start of the video, so I'm going to suggest change number 1. This might be a bit radical for some people, but bear with me. We need to implement a pick ban system and an exclusive pick system. Let me explain what these are for those of you who don't know. In most MOBA games, at the professional level, teams will pick their lineup at the start of the match in full sight of the other team. But before they pick heroes, they also ban some. So for example, in Dota 2, the team select phase goes something like this. Both teams ban 3 heroes each, then one team goes first. Let's say Team A, and they pick 1 hero. Team B then picks 2 heroes. Then Team A picks a second hero to bring them back to even. Then we go through another banning phase where each team bans 2 more heroes, now based off the information they've just gotten from the first 2 picks. After this, we head to picking heroes again, this time with Team B going first and getting 1 pick. Team A gets 1, Team B gets 1 more, and then Team A gets another pick. Finally, we do this one more time, 1 ban each and 1 pick each. And now we have a full lineup of 10 players. Obviously, the number of bans would have to be tweaked for Overwatch's lower hero pool, but we do need to shift to this style. Why? Well, for starters, the ban system allows players to implement their own meta. If you think back, all of this really started with Brigitte. Brig's introduction killed most dive comps and also started the rise of GOATs. After which, Blizzard just kept making nerfs and changes over and over until they just straight up sledgehammered her out of existence. And we got to where we are now. But in the pick and ban system, Blizzard wouldn't have to take such drastic action to hero changes because the players can essentially balance for themselves. Don't like Doomfist? Ban him. Feel double shield is overpowered? Well, you can ban Arisa. Handing this power to the players, I think will be a great step and make both the player base happy, but also make Blizzard's life easier so that they can just make smaller, more considered tweaks here and there whenever one hero does get too strong or is getting banned too often. Now the other aspect of this is the exclusive pick. In MOBA games, only one team can have a certain hero, meaning that if Team A picks Lucio, the other team straight up cannot. Why is this good? Well, it completely eliminates the stupidity of seeing mirror matches over and over, and also the idea of counter a comp by just playing the same comp forehead. This is most true at the pro level, where Overwatch League is just the same 6 heroes on every map in every situation. It's incredibly boring and removes the excitement of each individual game. What's the difference between watching Houston v London and LA versus New York if they're all just running the same comp? Now, let's imagine if this was implemented in Overwatch. Picture this instead for a minute. Team A and Team B are going head to head. Team A bans Reaper and Team B bans Arisa. Reasonable choices if we were playing in the same meta we are today. Team A then picks Zen because they have an amazing Zen player. Team B responds by picking Ana and Lucio, shoring up their support line. Team A responds by picking Doomfist because he's also strong right now. Now, Team A starts to get the feeling that Team B is trying to play Rein Zarya, so they ban Reinhardt while Team B bans Mei. Team A then picks Junkrat because he's good on the map, and they figure Team B is probably just going to pick Sigma Zarya instead of Rein Zarya. Team B then suddenly picks Winston and Genji, revealing that they wanted to play dive all along, while simultaneously confirming their Nano Blade combo and a win condition. Hopefully, this is not just me being a nerd, but this is hella exciting to me. Suddenly, there are actual tactics involved in the hero picks again. Seeing teams try to outthink each other before they proceed to try and outplay each other would be amazing and add the kind of depth we want to see in Overwatch. All of a sudden, there's a minigame of wits and anticipation and bluffing that will take place before every game even starts, and it'll really allow the smart players and the smart teams to shine through with their knowledge. And it would allow Overwatch League teams to develop identities and playstyles based around the heroes they want to get picked into the game and which teams will want to take away from them because they know they're so strong. As you may have realized by now though, this would mean that hero switching would have to be removed. Now yes, this has been an integral part of Overwatch, but like 3-3 and like the ability to pick 6 tracers, this will have to become a thing of the past, and arguably, it already has. Honestly, in the 2-2-2 setup, where your flexibility is already so stunted, how much switching do people do anymore anyways? You can only ever go from tank to tank, DPS to DPS, support to support, and with such limited counter switching potential for the individual player in a ranked game, why not just go all the way with it? Take out hero switching altogether, and let the counter picking take place openly at the start of the game. No more Widow switch, Ana switch. You pick a comp, and you live and die by it. Now the precise details of how many heroes you ban and who's given captaincy can be ironed out, and maybe I'll make another video about this, but the idea I think is really great. Now, on to the other major problem that role lock has brought with it. That is, the off-role problem. Now originally, when the idea of role queues was announced, it was assumed that the individual ratings a player gets on each of their roles will be based on some sort of criteria that Blizzard's almighty SR calculator would figure out. Instead, Blizzard have done something highly stupid. They've just left everyone where they are. As things stand, when you place an off-role, you'll almost certainly get placed within a couple hundred SR of your main SR. This is such a bad idea, because obviously, very few people are at the same skill level on every role. That was the entire point of the role queue. But now, we have players who have literally 0 previous hours on certain heroes getting put straight into Diamond and Masters in GM. That's absolutely ludicrous, and what it does is throw the balance of the game off way more than anything has done before. You might argue that previously, in the free select system, someone could be, for example, a Winston main and decide to pick Widow at the start of the map. Yes, this is absolutely true. However, that player had the chance at any point in the game to switch to a hero they are far better with. I think we can all relate to a situation like this. I had many games where I optimistically picked DPS at the start, only to realize I just wasn't playing it well, and I'd ask someone to swap with me as I head back to tank or support where I'm more comfortable. This is just not possible anymore. If you queue up for support, you're now stuck on support for good, even if you've never played any of the other heroes and you're basically throwing the game for your team. There's nothing you can do to really have a greater impact, and unlike before, you can't even try to tactically counter-switch your comp either for the reasons stated above. No more, hey, let's add a third tank in, no more, let's add a third support in, add a third DPS in. Now I've seen some people respond to the off-role problem and say, well, the people who are higher than where they should be will just drop SR. And while that might sound good in theory, it's an argument that completely ignores the practicality of how that would happen. Let's say your off-role is 2 ranks below your main. This, I would say, is not particularly unusual. Take my own case. Most people know me as the guy who was a GM tank main but placed in gold on a DPS alt. Now that's probably on the extreme end of things, but it's not easy getting good at a certain role or character, and I think most people will be, like I said, about 2 ranks below, at least on average, where they are on their main. 2 ranks is a difference of 1000 SR. To lose 1000 SR, you need to lose 40 games net. Even the worst player will probably only have a 40% win rate over an extended period of time, because in certain games, you will just get carried. That means you now have to play 200 games to get those net 40 losses. 120 losses, 80 wins. Who, I might ask, is playing 200 games a season on their off role? No one other than maybe streamers and full-time Overwatch players. Which means that this isn't just a 1 or 2 season problem. We're talking maybe a year of people not being at the right rank they should. So for the indefinite future, everyone's games will be flooded with people who don't know how to play the hero they're playing. Nor, as I just pointed out, can they do anything mid-game to change that. Now what's the solution to this? Well again, the community has been clamoring for an MMR reset, and I think Blizzard should go halfway. If you go with a full MMR reset, then we're going to end up with the same problem as above, with ranked being an absolute mess where no one is in the right rank and it takes forever to get everybody where they should be. Instead, what would work better is to use Blizzard's almighty SR judgment system. When you make a new account, Blizzard makes a value judgment of your ability based on stats. Now exactly what these stats are, we don't know, and thus it makes it harder for me to suggest solutions, but regardless, the game does have some way of figuring out who's plat, who's gold, and who's diamond. And it doesn't put anyone higher than that because it doesn't want new accounts going straight into Masters, but we can assume it does know what the stats of a Masters player looks like. So, what I suggest is that we unleash the full potential of this system. Let the game make judgments on your existing stats and assign an SR to it. Then, compare those stats with how the player performs in the games of the rank you think they belong in. Obviously the system needs to take rank into account. So for example, if you've been playing support on a Masters account, even if you're underperforming compared to other Masters players, it should at least put you in Diamond and see how you perform there. Then, make more judgments based on that data. But if you barely got any hours on a certain role, then the system needs to not do what it's doing now and just say, well, we'll just leave you where you were. No, the game needs to say, well, if we have no or very little information to go off of, then we're just going to treat this player like a new account. Put him in plat, put him in gold, even put him in diamond, and see how they perform. Ultimately, placements should be a way for the game to make drastic changes to your SR between seasons if there's drastic change in your play. Otherwise, it really is absolutely pointless. And it's only once we sort out all these issues that we can actually get back to having the game make some sort of sense again. So, how does all that sound to you guys? Because to me, it sounds a lot better than the mirror match spam fiesta that Overwatch has become these days. And I genuinely believe that if we make enough noise about this, as the players did for Roll Queue, Blizzard might just hear us out and save their own game. So that's all I got for today, guys. Hope you found this video helpful, and I hope at least some of the points I put forward you can see the benefit of. If you disagree, then let's try and create a healthy debate around this topic, because right now we're mostly theory crafting, so please do drop a comment below expressing your thoughts and why you feel the way you do. And if you think the system would work, and you've got any ideas about exactly how they could be implemented, then again, make sure you leave a comment so that we can bounce ideas. As always, I want to give a big shout out to my patrons who are amazing enough to support me. Depending on whether you guys agree with this video or not, I might make some more on this topic, detailing exactly how this changes my work, and also, I'm going to be trying these out on my own Discord server at some point in the future. So if you're interested, make sure you've joined. But that's it from me. I'll be back next week with another video. See you guys soon.